In this algebra video, I'm going to show you how to rationalize the denominator when you're given an expression that not only has an irrational value in the denominator, but a binomial, okay? So you may remember from the simpler version of this, if there's just a irrational number in the denominator, you multiply by that same number. When there's a binomial, it's going to be a little bit different. So what we're going to do here is we're going to multiply the numerator and denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. So we're going to multiply by 2 plus radical 5. Why am I allowed to do this? Well, because anything divided by itself is just 1. So in essence, all I'm doing is multiplying this first fraction I had by 1. So I'm not changing its value. That's why I'm allowed to do this. All right. Now, why am I doing it? Because you'll see that doing it is actually going to result in the radical 5 being gone from the denominator. Okay. Ignore the blue for a second. I will get to that. So multiplying straight across in the numerators, I have 12 times 2 is 24. And I have 12 times radical 5 is plus 12 radical 5. All right, done with the numerator. Now the denominator, I'm multiplying 2 minus radical 5 times 2 plus radical 5. This should remind you of the difference of squares formula, which tells me that if I multiply a plus b times a minus b, which is what I have here, I'm going to get a squared minus b squared. So we're going to do this a long way and FOIL it out, and then you'll see how it relates to this shortcut. So if I FOIL this out and do 2 times 2, I have 4. 2 times radical 5 gives me plus 2 radical 5. Negative radical 5 times 2 is going to be minus 2 radical 5. Negative radical 5 times positive radical 5 is going to be minus radical 25. Okay? What you should notice is the two middle terms are going to cancel out. I have 2 radical 5 minus 2 radical 5. So that cancels out and gives me 0. So what am I left with? 4 minus the square root of 25 is 5. This, if I look and try to relate it to the formula in blue, if I look at my first term a, this is a squared. 2 squared is 4 minus b squared. So b is radical 5. Radical 5 squared is just 5. So you can FOIL it out if you want, but the shortcut is that when we multiply conjugates, it's always just going to give us first term squared minus the second term squared. And 4 minus 5 is negative 1. All right. Now I can simplify this further, right? Because I'm dividing by negative 1. So I can make this negative 24 minus 12 radical 5 as my final answer. Okay, second example, I'm asked to rationalize the denominator and I see that my expression has a binomial. So I know that my method is going to be to multiply the numerator and denominator by the conjugate of that denominator. So 5 plus radical 2 over 5 plus radical 2. Again, that being okay because this is really just the number 1 written in a really complicated way, right? So I'm just multiplying this by 1 and that's okay. That doesn't change the value. So now multiplying across in the numerator, I get 2 times 5 is 10 plus 2 times radical 2. I'm just going to go ahead and write as 2 radical 2. So my numerator is done. In the denominator, you can go with that shortcut if you remember it. So if I multiply, this is a minus b times a plus b. So I'm going to get a squared minus b squared. This being my a value and this being my b value. So a squared, 25, minus b squared. Square root of 2 squared is 2, right? When I square root a number that's in a, when I square a number that's in a square root symbol, I get that number that was inside. And now I can simplify this. I'll keep my numerator 10 plus 2 radical 2. In the denominator, I just have 23. This can't be simplified, so that means that this is my final answer here. Again, if you can't do this part very quickly, you can FOIL this out. You're gonna get the same answer, it's just gonna take you longer. So I can do 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times radical 2, 5 radical 2. Negative 2 times 5 is going to be minus 5 radical 2. And negative square root of 2 times positive square root of 2 is going to be negative 2. These will cancel out and I'm left with the same thing I had up here. Okay? All right, here's a practice problem for you guys. As always, answers in the description. Go ahead and see if you got it right. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Hit that subscribe button so that you know when more videos are out and leave me any questions in the comments if you did not understand how to do the practice problem.